Okay, I'm here with Ray. Ray is a 2-year-old German Shepherd, and she's a very excitable dog. We have a very active lifestyle, and there's a couple of young kids in the house, and who are very active. And so basically in this video, I'm going to go over how you can teach your dog, that it has to be calm before we let it out of the kennel. Now, if you see when I reach for the kennel, see how she got up and is excited. Many of us confuse excited for happy when it comes to dogs, but excited for us is when we're going most likely to make mistakes. It's the same thing for the dog. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to let the dog out in a very sequestered, shortened way. So you might want to grab him so he doesn't pop up in the shot.
Okay.
Go ahead. That's going to be for you guys, so other people can watch it as well, but just in case. All right, so when I reach for it, you see she got up and got excited. She's preparing for me to let her out. So what I'm going to do, so as soon as she gets excited, so as soon as she does that, I pull my hand back and I stop. We had some technical difficulties. All right, so basically, so what I'm doing is I want her just to stay calm when I'm reaching. So I'm going to reach and I pull back. Reach and pull back. So after a while, she stopped, because right now, every time you let her out, this is the motion that you do. So she is anticipating getting out. This is almost like a command word that means I'm going to get excited and run out. The energy the dog has when you let it out of the kennel is the energy they're going to carry with them. So I want her to achieve a calm and balance. So now I can reach and she's not as excited. So now and so I stop and I wait. So what I'm saying is when you paw at the door, that stops the process of me trying to let you out. Didn't get a paw that time. And I want to repeat these steps. What I'm doing, and I'm going to kind of break, this is really as a dog behavior, so this is what I do all the time, is I take an activity and I break it down into small individual steps. So we practice step 1 over and over, and until the dog is doing step 1, only then we go to step 2. So step 1 is just reaching until she's not excited about it. Next step 2 is, now it's making a sound, so it's a little bit harder. And she's got her mouth, oh, well, she had her mouth open. She's breathing heavy. She's excited. And this is also maybe a little bit stressful. Why is he doing this? Why is he letting me out? So now the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open it. So I'm going to pop this first one up. So again, this is another step. And when she does doing that, I wait. There we go. So I'm doing the same thing for the bottom that I did for the top, but that one is a little bit more intense for her. So I'm just waiting. Calm. Now she's used to busting her way out of here. So I'm using my foot to make sure she can. So now I reach for this one. So I'm going through the whole unlocking process, but then I lock it again. See, she's breathing a little bit more heavy. Heavy breathing is, again, another indication of excitement. So after a while, she's just like, is this guy ever going to let me out? Jesus, what is he doing? That's the whole point, is we're making it that this is not associated with immediate release of the kennel. If she starts breathing really heavy, I just pause and wait. So it's important to do this when you're not on the clock. Now, she's not going to be, I'm not going to let her out of the kennel until she lies down. I'm not going to tell her to lie down. But I am going to open the door here in a second, and I'm going to block her exit with my legs. So she's not going to be able to get past. And so now, and eventually I'm going to step back. There we go. She sat down. So whenever she sits or lies down, that's a good time to start the process of trying to let her in. Or of let her out, excuse me. Now it's unlocked at this point, but I've got my door put on the door. So again, she doesn't realize it's unlocked. She's not pawing at it. So then I'm going to open it just a little bit, and then I close it. See how she's anticipating? She's waiting. So I'm waiting for her to reset, and I try it again. Again, pause. If we do this video right, at the end when I actually invite her out, she probably won't come out right away. I'll have to coax her out. So you can see I can leave it out a little bit longer now. And each time I'm loading a little bit wider if she shows me good behavior that I want. If she doesn't, then I back up a step. So we're going forward and back based on her behavior. And this is really a form of what we call operant conditioning. So now the door's open. I'm not going to tell her to SIT, but SIT is a more subordinate position. LAY is even more so. So I'm just going to use my legs to block her from exiting. I'm just waiting for her to SIT. When she SITs, I'm going to take a step backwards. And I want to tell her that's a communication. So I'm telling her when she SITs, I move away from blocking the door. So after enough repetition, she starts to realize SITing is how I get out of here. Now it takes a lot of repetition. So I'm waiting because she's still up here, she's challenging me. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. And a lot of times, and we have food in the kennel. I would definitely, and I talked to the guardians about this on camera, I would not recommend leaving food in the kennel. Oh, see? I was not paying attention.
Should I stop?
Nope, no, keep going.
Oh, okay.
So, because that's going to happen. So if that happens, then we immediately do this. But
okay,
good, that's a good teachable moment. So don't ever let the dog, or you're probably not going to be narrating videos, but don't lose focus of what you're doing for the dog. All right. So I'm just waiting, and usually when I do that sort of circular motion, that usually means they're going to SIT. Sometimes it can. But if she's up there in the front, that's more of a challenge. The reason I mentioned that with the food is usually it kind of takes some spot in the back and kind of forces her to be a little bit more up front. So as soon as she SITs, I'm going to take a step back, and that's going to probably cause her to come out, and then I'm going to move forward to say no. Oh, that's very good. So now I take another small step back, and I'm waiting. And don't move too far away too fast. I could probably move farther, but she could probably come out when I couldn't stop her. Now, my way of saying no, if she gets up, I'm going to rush towards the front to block it again. Now, at this point, I'm going to either wait here for her to LAY, or if she tries to come out, I'm going to rush forward and block her. The only way she gets out is by LAY. And she doesn't know that. This is also for, so don't tell your dog to SIT, don't tell it to LAY. If you tell it to SIT and she does it, she's just following a command. If she SITs while I'm doing this exercise the way I'm doing it, she's saying, I am comfortable enough to put myself at a slight disadvantage, which is what a SIT is. When she LAYs, that's a surrender. I totally give up. And as soon as she totally gives up and she's in a totally relaxed state of mind, that's when she's going to get freedom. So this first time I did this, it took 45 minutes. The second time it was like 18 minutes, and after that, it gets faster and faster, but you have to have that tipping point. So we're just going to wait here, and I'm just waiting here until she LAYs. And the first time you do this, don't have to go to the bathroom. Don't have, nobody's eating food. There's not a lot of distractions. We have very active kids in the house. They should not be farting around, and if they're going to, and make sure they're outside. Maybe that's an LAY, just about. And so we don't want to cause her any distractions or reasons for her to come out. And because this is hard for her to do anyways. See how she's breathing heavy? Now she's been in here a while, so she's not, this isn't a physical exercise or exertion. This is a little bit stressful. So she looks like she's going to LAY here in a sec. And as soon as she does, I'm going to take a knee and I'm going to call her out. And like I said, a lot of dogs won't come out right away. And that's good. So we're helping her. There's nothing but air between her and freedom. So what I'm teaching her is you have to look at the human's authority. And we're using the kennel as a tool so I can, because she can't use her athletic ability to go around me. So we're just going to wait. And now when you're doing this, I would recommend practicing this. Exercise your dog first. I'm just going to talk about some other stuff while we kind of wait for her to do it so it's not just dead air. So you exercise your dog first, give it 10 minutes to recover, then put it in here, and then practice. And set up practice scenarios where you can practice this, not when you're late for a meeting or there's stuff that's going on, because that's the worst time to do it because she feels your apprehension, and then that'll help her kind of try to outlast you. So instead, you're just like, look, I got nothing better to do than to be right here all day long. And if you have a Ben on tap, you can have Ben go get you a cocktail or whatever it is and support you. And so see it getting up, I'm a little bit antsy. I want to come out. I want to come out there. I'm sure she does. And as soon as she gives me what I want, then she's going to be able to come out. This is a wonderful way for a dog to start developing some self-control, develop respect for the human as an authority figure, and help her understand that this is the condition to be released from the kennel is to kind of surrender. So I take a step back for that because she just went from sitting on her haunches to what I call a side saddle. She's sitting on her hip now. The way that I go through this is how many movements does the dog have to go through to get up into a standing position? This is what's called a passive position. So if you're sitting, You have to go through at least 3 movements. Get your left foot back up, right foot back up, and then you take a step. Well, if I'm side saddle, now I have to shift myself, and then that's 3 steps. When I'm laying down, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So the more steps that a dog has to go through before it can take action is kind of an indication of how comfortable and relaxed they are. What I want her to do is practice being relaxed in the kennel and understand that being relaxed and laying down is what gets me out. Now, she doesn't know it, so again, that's why we're just sitting here waiting for her to lay on her own. But I'm not there blocking it, and the door's not closed. So she's doing the work, and that's why she's panting heavy, because this is difficult for her. That's okay. After you do this, after a while, I have a dog named Callie. I teach puppy classes. I take her to puppy classes. I put her in a kennel, and we're going to get SIT right, or LAY right here. Come. Ray, come. Come. See this beautiful energy we have? And so I had to call her out a couple times, where before the guardian who's filming this told me she rushes pie pecking. And then she went back in there. That's another beautiful sign. A lot of times I tell people to throw a treat in there, let the dog go and get the treat, and then leave for free without having to do it. But so we were teaching her exiting the kennel should be done in a calm fashion. My dog Callie that I was talking about in puppy class, I go to puppy class, I put her in a kennel in the back of the room, and I leave the door open the whole puppy class. And people are like, oh my God, why is she coming out? Because we're helping her practice some self-control. So doing this exercise, even when people are around in the room and having her lay down, well, let me actually go through the litany for this. So the first way you're going to do it is what I just showed you. You're going to break down all the individual steps leading up to letting her out, and then don't let her out like I did. And then you're going to stand here. As soon as she stops moving around, is calm, we take a small step backwards, and we gauge her. If she tries to come forward, I rush forward is my way of saying no. If I take a step back and she stays, after a second, I take another step back. And I wouldn't get further back than maybe about 4 or 5 feet. So that's the first stage. The second stage, and now I'm at this point, well, I'm about maybe 3 feet away. And I'm going to wait for her to SIT on her own without us telling us. When she does that, I want to take a big step backwards at the same time or right after. That tells her, you SIT, move me further away from blocking. And again, anytime she gets up, or she tries to come out, you mirror her. So if I'm back here and she stands up, I take a step back towards her. And then she sits back down, I take another step back. So you'll probably end up doing it'll be like a waltz. So and then eventually when you get to, you want to be about here, and now you wait for the dog to LAY. And as soon as she does, you take a knee, have a treat, call her out, give her the treat, say the word come. So once you get to the point where she starts LAYing right away within like 5 or 10 seconds, the next step is you come, you open the door and you're kind of, you do the same process. You may take a couple steps back, she LAYs. Now I wait 2 seconds, then I call her out. Next time I wait 4 seconds. And then I gradually work my way up to the point where I can have the door open with her in there. She's been in there for a while, and she's waiting like up to 5 or 10 minutes for me to let her out. And you can come up with a release word if you want. Every time you let her out, maybe you say parole, or freedom, or free, or whatever you want to say. So after a while, it becomes a command word. So you can be watching, so you can come home from work, open the kennel, go in the kitchen, wash your hands, make yourself a cocktail, come sit down on your couch, turn on TV on, watch a little bit, and when you're ready, you say, holiday, and she comes out of the kennel. And the door's open the whole time. Ray, come here. Ray, come. Well, this good-looking German Shepherd. Oops, Ray, come here. I just want you to be in the shot. Come. This is Ray, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that's really excited and likes to push its way out of the kennel.